Have you ever wondered how someone can listen to a song just once and then magically be able to play it? How do they know what chords to play? Well, it's not magic. Chords live in families. We call them chord families. The reason a person is able to play a song after only hearing it once is because he's playing chords that are all in the family. Okay, so some of you won't remember that TV show, let alone know what I'm talking about, but that's okay, you get the idea. Okay, so you know all those major scales you've been learning? Well, the chords that belong to a chord family are built off that major scale. For our example here, I will use the C scale. I'll show you how that applies as I introduce you to each member of the family in my chord family portrait. Because the easiest way for me to explain chord families is to relate it to a real family. Here's what you need to know about chord families in a nutshell. First, chord families are built from the major scale. Second, chords 1, 4, and 5 are major. Third, chords 2, 3, and 6 are minor. And fourthly, chord 7 is diminished. Okay, so let's break it down. Chords 1 through 6 are commonly used in contemporary music. Chords 1, 4, and 5 are major chords. Traditionally, major chord numbers will be written in capital Roman numerals like this: 1, 4, and 5. In modern music, you're most likely to see major chord numbers written like this: 1, 4, and 5. As you gather chord charts from different sources, you'll run into both, so that's why I'm showing you both now. Let's look at chord 1. Chord 1 is a major chord. We're going to have God represent chord 1. Why? Well, he's the foundation of the family. Chord 1 tells us what key a family will be in. In other words, he gives the chord family its name. For example, if a song is built off the C scale, it's the C chord family. If the song is built off the G scale, it's the G chord family. And if the song is built off the D scale, it's the D chord family. And so on and so on. Each scale tone from which these chords are built have a musical name as well. The first note of a major scale, in our case, the C note, since I'm using the C scale as our example, is called the tonic. The tonic is the root note from which chord 1 is built, in this case, a C chord. The tonic is the tonal center of a song and has the feeling of finality. And there's the tonic, the feeling of finality. Okay, so let's look at chord 5. Chord 5 is a major chord and built off the 5th note of the scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The musical name for the 5th note of the scale is called the dominant and is the root note from which chord 5 is built. In this case, a G chord. I have the dad representing chord 5 because he's a very dominant part of this family. I mean, check out those muscles. In music, the dominant function has the role of creating tension that requires the tonic or chord 1 for resolution. And there's chord 1, the resolution. Here's chord 5, the dominant. It feels like it needs to resolve. And here's chord 1. So as our chord family story goes, chord 5, Dad, is looking to God, chord 1 for resolution. Let's look at chord 4. Chord 4 is a major chord as well and built from the 4th note of the scale. 1, 2, 3, 4. The musical name for the 4th note of the scale is subdominant and is the root from which chord 4 is built, in this case, an F chord. Sub means below, hence the word subdominant because, hey, it's immediately below the dominant. Here's the dominant, and here's subdominant. I have the mom representing chord 4, and as you can see in our chord family portrait, she's right below the dad. Chord 4, in many cases of today's Western music, acts as a dominant preparation chord, meaning she, the mom, wants to look to chord 5, the dad, and of course the dad has the feeling he wants to resolve to 1. An example of this would be the ending to the Star-Spangled Banner. And the home, there's chord 4 of the, there's chord 5, brave. In the dictionary, the word major means greater in size. So God, Mom, and Dad, chords 1, 4, and 5 are the adults and major chords in our chord family portrait. Chords 2, 3, and 6 are minor chords. Traditionally, minor chords will be written in lowercase Roman numerals like this: 2, 3, and 6. The fact that they're lowercase means that they're minor. In modern music, you're more likely to see minor chord numbers written like this: 2 minor, 3 minor, and 6 minor. When children are under the legal age of full responsibility, they are often referred to as minors. This should help you remember that in our chord family portrait, chords 2, 3, and 6, the kids are going to be our minor chords of the family. Let's look at chord 2. Chord 2 is a minor chord built from the second note, 1, 2 of the scale. The musical name for the second note of the scale is supertonic and is the root note from which chord 2 minor is built, in this case, a D minor. Chord 2 is a real daddy's boy, and here's why. Because he, like Mom, is a dominant preparation chord. The tension he causes makes him want to run to Daddy. Chord 5, the dominant. And then, of course, the dominant has the feeling he wants to resolve to 1. An example where this plays out would be in an old praise song classic, I Love You, Lord. May it be a sweet, sweet sound. There's the 2 chord, or D minor. In your, there's the 5 chord, E, and ending on the tonic, or the 1 chord. Let's take a look at chord 3. Chord 3 is a minor chord built from the third note of the scale, 1, 2, 3. The musical name for the third note of the scale is mediant and is the root from which chord 3 minor is built, in this case, an E minor. Mediant is a Latin word meaning middle. Since the third scale note is smack in the middle of the 1 and the 5, that's how he got his name. He's mediant. He's kind of a mischievous kid. When he doesn't get his way, he'll give you the 3rd degree and then run to Mama, chord 4. So in many cases of Western music, chord 3 likes to resolve to chord 4. Let's look at chord 6. Chord 6 is a minor chord built from the 6th note of the scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The musical name for the 6th note of the scale is submediant and is the root from which chord 6 is built, in this case, an A minor chord. I have the daughter representing the submediant, or chord 6. She's sub because she is below the tonic. Here's the tonic, and here's the submediant, below the tonic. And she's mediant because she's smack in the middle of the subdominant, which was 4, and the tonic, which is 1. Submediant. She can be kind of deceptive at times. Just when you think a song is about to come to an end, she'll jump in there and say, "Aha, just when you thought we were at the end. Not. I'm gonna make you tag the ending and play it again." Ooh, she deceived us again. She's gonna make us tag the ending again. 4, 5, and now she ends on the 1, which is the tonic. In music, this is called the deceptive cadence. Here's an example of the deceptive cadence in the Star-Spangled Banner. And the home of the brave. Just when you thought it was going to end, it's going to make you repeat, because we went to chord 6 minor, the deceptive cadence. And the home of the brave. And there's your tonic, chord 1, the feeling of finality. Okay, let's look at chord 7. Chord 7 is what we call a diminished chord. Traditionally, a diminished chord will be represented by a small Roman numeral with a little circle next to it, like this. In modern music, you would see it written like this, or this. The diminished chord is composed of all minor third intervals and built from the 7th note, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the scale, and it's called the leading tone. On the right of your screen, we have Dim 7 the dog. He represents our diminished chord. Since he's built from the leading tone of the scale, he has a leash in his mouth and he wants to go for a walk. You see, Dim 7 doesn't go for walks by himself. In the same way, by itself, the diminished chord doesn't get used a whole lot in Western contemporary music. But look what happens when Dim 7 goes for a walk with dominant dad. Or musically speaking, when the diminished chord gets combined with the dominant 5 scale tone, he creates a 5-7 chord. In this case, a G7 chord. And that is common in contemporary music. Oftentimes, we'll see the 5 chord used in the first inversion where the leading tone, note 7, is in the bass, and that leading tone, B, wants to resolve to chord 1, the tonic. For this reason, in a contemporary application of music, some musicians like to think of chord 7 as a 5/7, or in this case, a G over B, the 5 being the G chord and the 7 being the B note, or the leading tone, which leads to or wants to resolve to chord 1, which is C. Okay, so if you didn't grasp everything in the chord family portrait, no worries. Hang in there. It will come to life, and the light bulb will go on in your head as we start plugging in our chord families to real-life musical applications. For now, just memorize these 4 points. First, chord families are built from the major scale. Second, chords 1, 4, and 5 are major. Third, chords 2, 3, and 6 are minor. And fourthly, chord 7 is diminished. Watch this video every day until you have the gist of the chord family portrait in your mind.